Now guys, you have to focus well. You have to focus well on Al-Kharedda, as we mentioned. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking him to raise the position of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam more and more, and shower him with more blessings along with his family members, companions, and all those who follow their footsteps until the day of judgment. Inshallah, today we will continue in explaining Al-Kharedda al-Bahiyya, line 9 and 10. Leave everything, have your notebook, and focus with me. After he praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the norm of all of the scholars in their poems, he praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sent salawat for the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he introduced his poem. Then he said, rahimahullah ta'ala, Sayyidi Ahmad al-Dardir, who passed away 1201 after the migration of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, أقسام حكم العقل لا محالة هي الوجوب ثم الاستحالة ثم الجواز ثالث الأقسام فافهم منحت لذة الأفهام. Literally this means the rules of the mind, or the rules or the rulings of reason, or the rational rulings are three without exception, definitely. أقسام حكم العقل لا محالة هي, they are الوجوب, necessity, something is necessary, هي الوجوب, ثم الاستحالة, and then impossibility. Then he says ثم الجواز, then probability or possibility. ثم الجواز ثالث الأقسام, then possibility or probability is the third of these three parts or three divisions of the rulings of reason. فافهم, so understand this. فافهم منحت لذة الأفهام, may you be granted the sweetness of understanding. When you understand something, when you realize something, there's a sweetness for that knowledge, for that realization, for that understanding, right? When you learn something, when you realize something in the right way and understand it, there's a sweetness for that. So he's praying for you to be gifted with that. He says, أقسام is the divisions or the parts of حكم العقل. حكم العقل. Who knows العقل means what? عقل. عقل means what?
Brain.
The mind. Aql means mind, the minds that Allah has given us. What is al-aql? We will talk about al-aql in the coming class, inshallah. And how the scholars define al-aql. Anyone can tell me what al-aql means? Is it like a physical part that you have in your body? It's not, right? It's not the physical part, right? Al-aql is what? Is the qualities that you have, right? Is like the tool, but it's not a physical tool, right? Right or no? And even the scholars, by the way, and the scientists, they don't know until now, they don't know exactly really that really the aql is really based in the brain or not. They don't have certainty about that. And you know in the Holy Quran, there are big signs about that in the Holy Quran. Allah says, لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا. They have hearts with which they don't understand. Right? So there are some secrets and some scientific facts about al-aql, about mind, that we still need to discover in the Holy Quran. And scientists might also reach that before we reach it. So let's come to hukum first. We're going to come to al-aql. Let's come to hukum. Hukum means what? Who knows? Hukum means what? Hukum. What does hukum mean? Hukum means ruling. Hukum means what? Ruling or qada. Hukum means ruling or qada. When a judge makes a hukum, he makes a judgment, right? He issues what? A judgment, right or no? Or a decision, right? That is hukum. Hukum, I want you to understand it in one sentence. Attributing something to something, or negating something from something. That's hukum, just this word in Arabic, hukum. For example, when the judge, ya sister, he says, this person is innocent. What did the judge do? He did a hukum, right or no? He did what? A hukum. What is that hukum? He attributed what to the person? What did he attribute? One more, yeah, what? Innocence, right? So he attributed something to this person. That's a hukum. Or negating something from something or from someone, okay? Negating, for example, if he says, this person did not commit the murder. What is that called? What is that called? I want you to interact to show me that you understand it, because these are the foundations of Aqidah. These are the foundations of Aqidah, to understand Aqidah in the true sense, in a way that will make you refute any doubts that you might have, and refute any doubts that people might put in front of you. Is that clear? So, when the judge says, for example, this person did not commit the murder, what is that called? Hukum. He made a hukum. What did he? He confirmed something or negated something? He negated what? He negated the guilt or the murder from that person, right or no? So as you understand now the word hukum, this is very general, huh? Now, who is the one who makes the hukum? Anyone knows in Arabic what he is called or she is called? Hakim. Who makes the hukum? Who makes the hukum? Huh? Who makes the hukum? Hakim. Now, who is al-Hakim? Who is al-Hakim? Who is the judge or the one who makes ahkam? Who is the one or the thing? Who is the one or the thing that attributes things to things or negate things from things? Well, the Muslim scholars, they thought about this and they found there are 3 types of hakim or hukam. 3 types of hukam, plural of hakim. How many types? 3. They said the first type is shara. Is what? Shara means sharia, right? The Islamic law, right? Shara. Shara gives hukum, confirms or attributes things to things and negates things from things. Shara tells us, for example, this is permissible, this is impermissible, right? Shara tells you, for example, prayer is necessary, you have to pray. Stealing is forbidden. So that gives us the first type of ahkam. What is the plural of hukum, guys? What is the plural of hukum? Ahkam. What's the plural of hakim? Hukam. Now, so if the hakim is the shara, then what do we call the hukum? Shar'i. Hukum? Shar'i. That's the first type of hukum. Hukum shar'i. Hukum shar'i, it has its own definition. We're going to come, but let me give you the other divisions. حكم شرعي خطاب الله تعالى المتعلق بأفعال المكلفين اقتضاء أو تخييرا أو وضعا. What does that mean? حكم شرعي is the address of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the sharia to the people who are responsible, who are Islamically responsible. Whether commanding them to do something or forbidding them from doing something or making something as a condition for something, etc. That is called hukum shar'i. We're going to give you more details to understand it more. The second hakim, who can tell me? What is another hakim in life? It's the norm. The norm. Al-'ada. What is it? Al-'ada. What is al-'ada? the norm, nature, if you like, the norm, and that hukum will be, who knows, if the hakim is shara', then it is hukum shar'i. If the hakim, the ruler, the judge, is the ada, the norm, then the hukum will be adi. Hukum adi. What does that mean? This is extremely important. How do you know the fire burns? Is it a hukum shar'i that when you put your hand it will burn? Is that a hukum shar'i? It's not. Is it hukum aqli, which is the third type, by mind, you know? Or by norm and repetition and custom and nature? What do you think? What do you think? It's by norm. It's the norm of the, listen, it's the norm of the fire to burn. But it's not logically necessary for the fire to burn. I'll give you an example. Focus with me. That's the most important point. Maybe it's strange for you, but you understand many things based on this. If I bring a child, even less than 1 year, and you put a big plate of candy and a small one, which one will he take usually? Which one will he take? The big or the small?
The big.
The plate that has many types of candy or just one little candy? Every child, what will he pick? Did he try? Is it by norm? He's used always. First time you do this to the child, first time ever, you put in front of him a plate that has many types of candy and one candy. First time you do this with him. Is this child, is it by norm? He always, whenever you always do this, you put for him a big plate and one candy and he always picks the plate. Is that a norm? If you just did it from the first time and he did it, how did he choose? By shara'? No. By norm? No. Then it's what? By aql, by his mind, by his intellect, normal intellect, intuitiveness. You understand? Now, focus with me now. If you put a fire in front of this child, and the child, your sister, he sees this fire, now, is it possible he will just put his hand on it or no?
Yeah.
It's very possible. Why not? Why not? Because he doesn't know by mind that it burns. He doesn't know by mind. By his mind he knew this plate has like a variety of things. So he took it. It's not by norm. But as for the fire, he doesn't know by his mind. But now listen, focus with me now, what will happen? When he puts his hand on the fire, what will happen usually? What happens? Then what will he do? He'll take it off. Another time, it's possible, he didn't understand. So he might put his hand again. Is it possible or not? It's possible. But when he puts his hand another time and he burns. Now, what did he have now? He noticed the connection between the fire and burning. So now by norm, he knows, by norm, not by intellect, not by mind, by norm, he knows there's a connection between the fire and burning. So now, when he sees the same fire, will he again put his hand? Now he's gonna stop. Why he stopped? By al-hukm al-adi, because he understood now that there's a norm of connection between these two things. Now, could that norm cease to happen? Or it must happen? What do you think? It's very possible that it doesn't happen. Because it's not something that must happen by reason or by intellect, that the fire must burn. It's not necessary by reason and logic. It's not necessary. Do you understand? But we think it's necessary. Why? Because we always see people, whenever they put their hand, they burn. Whenever they put their hand. But is that repetition necessarily gives us the fact that it must burn? Not necessarily. Do you understand? It's not the mind who judge that the fire must burn. No. And the proof is, Sayyidina Ibrahim, he was thrown into the fire, he didn't burn. Do you understand? You understand? Scientifically, logically, this is science, huh? Guys, science. By science, does repetition make it a logical ruling or a reasonable ruling that must happen? No. Repetition, even if it happens million times, it can stop one time. It can break one time. It can cease to happen one time. So the mind, focus with me here. Now, the role of the mind. The mind just notices the connection between the burning and the fire. It just noticed the connection and now it knows there's a connection between burning and fire. But can the mind tell us what is really burning or causing the burning? It cannot tell us. It cannot tell us what is causing the burning. Just like if you put your hand at electricity and you have a shock, the mind tells you there's a connection between putting your hand and the shock, but it doesn't tell you what is causing the shock. Same thing. It's not the fire that is causing the burning. Do you understand? We can search and know, then you will know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the one who's causing the burning. He is the real doer. Another example, drinking. Whenever you drink, Bismillah, what happens? Your thirst is quenched. Your thirst is quenched, right? Well, whenever you drink, your thirst is it possible? Is that hukum? Hukum. Shari'i? Is it hukum shari'i? No. The shara doesn't tell you when you drink you have to be quenched. Is it hukum adi or hukum aqli, al-aql? Al-aql. That is the third type of hukum. Hukum aqli. Hukum aqli. Is it by logic and reason you have to be quenched, or by norm and repetition? What is it? By norm and repetition. It's only by norm and repetition you feel quenched. It's not something that must happen. And the proof is, some people, they drink and they still feel thirsty. Like the person who killed Sayyidina Al-Hussein radiallahu anhu in the battle of Karbala, and he killed his child, and the child needed water, and one of those miserable hypocrites, murderers, they killed that baby, and instead of giving him water, they killed him. Then Sayyidina Al-Hussein or another person, he prayed against that person, and that person started feeling thirst, and people would give him water and give him water and water until his belly became like this and he died, and he couldn't feel quenched, and he kept asking for more water. So the point is, these are the three ahkam. We have to know them very well and distinguish between them. There is a hukum shari'i, by shara. There is a hukum by sharia. Sharia tells you this is mandatory, this is impossible, this is permissible, impermissible, etc. There's a hukum by norm, by habit, by repetition, and it is what? It's called hukum adi. And is this hukum, is it necessarily consistent? Tell me, is it necessarily consistent that it must always happen? Not necessarily. And how do we know this hukum adi? How do we know it? How do you realize it? By what? Experience, excellent. Experience and repetition. Experience and repetition. And this norm, as you can see, I gave you two types of norm. Two types. If you want more details, I gave you عادة بشرية and عادة كونية. If you notice, I gave you two examples. The first example about the fire is something in the nature, is a norm in the nature. And the example about the water I gave you is an example about what? Is an example about us, about the human. So there's a human norm, something you feel, and there's a natural norm, like the fire issue. Is that clear? Like the fire issue. If you throw a person into a cave that has a lion, is it by logic and by mind a necessity that the lion must eat it? Of course not. But the norm, yes, he will definitely, we say he will absolutely eat him, right? But that is absoluteness just by norm, it's not by logic. Means it could not happen, right or not? Did you understand? And in this way we understand miracles of the prophets alayhi salatu wassalam. By science and by logic you cannot reject miracles. And this is how our great Muslim scholars, when they defined miracles, look what they said. Miracles in 3 words. أمر خارق للعادة. In 3 words. أمر خارق للعادة. A matter that breaks the norm. That's a miracle, according to the Muslim scholars. That's science, guys. That's logic. Did you write the definition of miracle? A miracle is what? أمر خارق للعادة. What is the definition of the miracle? It's a matter that breaks the norm. This is why we accept miracles even by science and logic. Let alone the fact that we have tawatur, so many chains of trustworthy narrators that make us believe about the miracles, that they are also correct. So by science and logic and naql, this means by aql and by naql, we believe in the miracles for that reason. Did you get that? So that is the types of hukum. Hukum shar'i, hukum adi, and hukum aqli. Every one of these ahkam has its rulings. Hukum aqli, it's not by, is the hukum aqli by experience and repetition? No. Did the child knew that this blade has more because he experienced that? No. If you see, if we tell you the part is smaller than the whole, is that hukum adi or aqli? Is that a necessity by mind and reason or by norm and repetition and experience? The fact that a small part is a part of something is smaller than the whole of the same thing. Is it hukum aqli or adi, ya Shaykh? It's hukum aqli, right? 1 + 1 is 2. Is that hukum aqli or adi? Is it by experience or it's intuitive and fact by mind and doesn't depend on experience, doesn't change? Adi by norm or by aql, by mind? Aqli, of course aqli. 1 + 1 is 2. Is that clear? You got it? Inshallah we're gonna explain more about this and move to now what matters for us. We're gonna focus on these ones, and then we're gonna see what about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, every ruling and every one, it has more details. Alhamdulillah.